are live. Hey, that means you hear my voice, and that means it is Monday.
Yes, it is.
It is after 7 and before 8. So that means it's the Making Moguls hour.
That's a fact.
And we here to make moguls once again. Um, it is Columbus Day.
Is it?
Happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yes.
Because that's all I'm gonna say on that topic. We're not gonna stay on that, man. And welcome.
I can name a whole bunch of Christophers that I acknowledge.
Before that man. Fun fact about that man.
Mm-hmm.
He actually visited my home island, and it's his fault we got frickin' colonized in the first place.
Of course.
That damn man.
That damn it. You know what, BJ? Yo, listen, if y'all hear us out there in the wonderful world of YouTube and Xtreme104fm.com, as well as wherever else our voices are right now, you already know it's Making Moguls. You're here with your favorite CEO, who is now 30.
Hey.
As of 2 days ago.
As of 2 days ago, congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy birthday once again.
Thank you.
And you here with Vigiano, the one and only.
The one and only.
If you don't know who I am, you wasn't looking hard enough. That's how I feel these days.
He gonna start saying that at the beginning and end of the show now.
At the end of the show, because I mean, how long we been doing this?
Since January.
So yeah, unless you brand new, and then you need to go look. I mean, I don't know what to tell you by now.
I'm weak. Well, you already know that, we bring the best of the best in the building to interview and get those gems and get, more insight into entrepreneur and business owner journeys so that they can help you figure out what to do and what not to do while you're, figuring out your path to success. So today we have a special friend of mine in the building, my girl Roxy.
Hey,
Roxy Lazama in the building. And what's crazy is I think I've known Roxy about 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
17, yes.
Yeah.
Because she participated in the first Celebs in Fashion event that we did.
Yeah.
I don't even know how we got connected. But before we get into that story, y'all already know how we start the show. So every week we start the show talking about our small wins. Everybody acknowledges their big wins and all of the, high impact moments of their life, but they always forget to acknowledge all of the small pieces that go into those bigger wins. So, VJ, you want to start?
My small win was helping throw you that surprise party yesterday. That was my small win.
These people threw me my first ever surprise birthday party.
In her own studio.
In my own studio. That's a flex. Like,
we did it in her own space, under her own nose.
Yo, that's crazy. Earlier in the day, I'm like, why the camera's not working? I'm like, I can't see what's going on there. I don't know. I know there's people in my studio. I can't see.
And then she shows up and all the lights is off, and she's like, what the, why?
Yeah, I thought I was having an event. I'm confused. Yeah, for me.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my small win, because
I like that.
It was great. It
really was great. You know what? My small win this week, and it's crazy because the last couple of months, my small wins have been very like self-care and like internally based rather than things outside of myself. So I would say for this last week, I didn't even have to think about it. I'm never prepared. I never have this before. I never have it before the show. I would say that in this past week, I allowed myself to acknowledge that I'm loved.
I like that.
Yeah, and that's a
good.
hard one for me because I do so much for other people, or I do so much with other people, and I never take a moment to really realize, like, yo, I really have people in my corner that actually
Yeah.
care, like, you know. So that was a big one for me,
I like
definitely. And I turned 30. I'm grown now. All right, what about you?
I would say, just especially because I'm throwing this event right now. Yesterday was my fitting, and maybe I guess I'm not the most responsible, but for every time I throw events, I never have my clothes done by the time the fitting is like ready. And this is like the first time that I was like, yo, I really have everything done except for like one piece.
Wow.
Like this whole week, I could just focus on the show, and I'm like, you know
That's
what?
amazing.
Wow, that's congratulations.
Finally,
Yes.
like good job.
That's
Yeah,
kinda,
it's-
that's kind of a big win. I mean,
Right, because it's those
Yeah.
steps that, you know, you'll remember how you felt right now,
Yeah.
and next time you have a show, you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna do that again.
Yeah, I'm gonna be responsible.
I love that. So let's get into your story. So for those of you that couldn't put two and two together so far, Roxy is a clothing designer amongst many other things, many other hats. Today I wanted to put a bigger highlight on branding, because the Roxy I met in 2017 is a different Roxy than I know now.
Yeah.
Very similar in a lot of ways, of course, but I see the growth as far as the personal brand goes. So your clothes have always been fire.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate
Definitely always been fire. They definitely have. But who I remember you as was like very quiet, very kind of like, played in the, playing in the back, just kind of assessing what's going on and things like that. And then now it's like you've bloomed into this social butterfly, and you always outside and you always doing things. The content is lit. So I really want to spend time getting into how you became who you are, how you got into fashion design and all of that, of course. But definitely let's highlight pieces on how the personal brand came to develop into where you are now.
That is a great question. And as you were saying that, I was like reminiscing on when I did meet you and like how my clothes were, and it was always camouflage. And even like my personality, like you said, it was more so like reserved. And it kind of correlates with the camouflage. And now it's like the complete opposite with the silvers and the bright colors.
Yeah.
And it's just really just me embracing being myself, I guess. Like, I think looking back on it, it's like kind of, you brought something to me, like as far as the camouflage going into like this bright, colors and everything. It's like a metaphor, I guess, of like who I was and who I am now. And how I got there, I think it was just embracing myself, just finding who I am and understanding who I am, and just understanding, networking and marketing and stuff like that, and just being yourself. And also with marketing, just showing yourself 10 times more, because sometimes people wouldn't understand who you are if you're just being the smaller version of yourself. I feel like sometimes when you put yourself out there, as far as with social media or with any type of marketing, you have to exaggerate so that people can understand it. Sometimes when you don't, people it might miss a little bit.
Right.
So it's really just maybe that, and also just with confidence, just growing up and just doing things repetitively and just moving forward and just being more confident, I guess. Yeah.
So how did you get into clothing design?
I was a musician first. I played the drums. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was a drummer
Wow.
for like since I was 13 to 19 or 20.
Did
I
not
still
expect
kind of
that.
At all.
yeah, so my whole family, my sister and I, we are all musicians, my brother, everybody. So originally my sister and I were in a band, and then we were like, we need merchandise. We need stuff to like advertise ourselves as female musicians. And we used to have like these t-shirts and hoodies that were like very female, pro female
like
clothing,
empowerment.
like empowerment. So with that, my sister kind of branched off into being a producer, being a musician and everything. And then I just fell in love with fashion for some reason. I never expected to be a designer. I always thought I was going to be like a chef or something. I wanted to open up a restaurant and all of these things. But yeah, when she kind of made that step first, and I was like, you know what? I kind of just went with it for a little bit longer. And then around when you met me, actually, was when I changed my name from the old clothing line's name to Roxy Lazama Clothing.
Oh, wow.
So I was still kind of finding myself, like, that was kind of one of my first few shows by myself.
Yeah.
Because she was always the personality, and I would always be like, okay, whatever she says. Okay, like, but now it's like just me being myself. That's why I also named the brand after myself, my first and last name.
That's super dope. So do you feel like at some point you're going to, or even have, I'm not sure, incorporate like that music side or that music background of yourself into like your clothing or into your shows?
How I incorporate it now, one of the other hats that I wear, I do help with like artist management and development. So I feel like I always had that love for music or that ear for music and just knowing what sounds good or what will sell. So I feel like as I was a designer, I always like used to kind of live through musicians or like my musical friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I feel, with my fashion shows, I always like to have performances. I always like to have my artists or people that I'm supporting or I personally listen to or like performing at my show, have them wear my clothes, if that sees fit. So I think that's kind of like I separate it, but I still find ways to kind of bring it together.
Right.
Okay.
But I don't think I'll ever like have a music inspired clothing line again. I don't know. I thought it was a little cheesy, but I was like 16 at the time, so
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
That's cute. I like it though. I like it a lot. So what made you feel like it was necessary to transition from just designing to doing your own shows?
When I was designing, I started as a designer first, and I really started falling in love with fashion as a whole. And I really wanted to model, and at that time, it was like a height difference, and you had to be a certain height, or a certain size, and I didn't really fit those requirements. So I felt like as a designer, I didn't want to fit into that bubble. I wanted to have a platform for all models of all sizes and all heights to be able to showcase like themselves and advertise themselves, or be able to walk and have experiences like high-end fashion shows. So I decided to start making or throwing my own shows just for that experience for myself, because I believe in just opening doors for yourself, not really waiting for people. And
that's why I started too.
I know, I really like resonate with you. Like I'm like obsessed with you. I think I tell you that all the time. But just work ethic. But that's another time.
No, for real though. Like I used to say the same thing. Like I was really big on, because I started super young as well. So. But it was just me. So I was figuring out as I was going along. But for me, it was like, well, I know what I want. I know what I want to see. So being that it doesn't exist, I'm going to create it.
You're going to make it for yourself. Exactly. And then the standard that you want it at too.
Right.
And there's sometimes that I would even be invited to do things as a designer that I would turn down, because I'm like, I don't really like that. Like I don't think it's up to par of the vision that I see for myself. Even if people saw me at a certain level, it's like that's not where I want to be in the future, and I only do things for my future self.
I love that. I love that you said that. So let's get into that a little bit deeper. So what do you feel gives you the confidence or the ability to say no to certain opportunities? Because some people feel like, I just posted something earlier and I was like, it was a flashback memory though. I posted this a long time, like last year or something. And it was to the terms of like, not every bag is your bag. Sometimes you have to realize that opportunity is not for you. It's for somebody else. Let them come along and get it, and you keep striving for your thing. But a lot of people aren't comfortable, especially at the levels where we are, where we're still building. We've done a lot, we've accomplished a lot, so we're, you know, a little bit further ahead of, you know, anybody's just starting, or maybe they only put a couple years in, but, you know, they're not comfortable saying no because they feel like, okay, well, I have to be a part of everything in order to get ahead.
I feel like with being like the term outside or whatever, with me, I'm very particular with like events that I go to or things that I go to. And, you know, maybe I just have a high standard just for myself, but I feel like with throwing events or even being around certain things, you kind of learn just over time, because I was a little bit more gullible when I was younger, just knowing like the frauds from, you know, what's real. And that comes with even like people of stature, people with numbers. Sometimes you see certain things and you're like, oh, this person has numbers or this person's here. And then, you know, starting to meet some of these people in real life, and it's just like, you guys aren't really what I, you know. So I think it just comes with experience and just learning, you know, what would really benefit me, just asking questions as well too. Like, okay, what am I getting from this? If I'm paying for something, what will I get in return? And making sure that people stick to their word. And, you know, even word of mouth or hearing people will always have something to say about, you know, said situations. And not saying that you just rely on other people, but it's like, you know, just keep those things in the back burner, just understand and let it resonate, you know, with whatever decision or whatever events that you decide to be a part of. Because, not all events that look lit are really that lit. There's sometimes I feel like I go and I see like stories, and sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that was fun, and then you go there and then it's like,
that was just Instagram.
That was just social media. Like, it's this facade in social media now that's like, you really gotta like nitpick and see what's real, you know. So I think that just came with time.
Okay. I have a question. I still remember from Celebs of Fashion 1 that the crowd had a certain reaction to seeing your pieces, to seeing their line on the runway in a way that like not many designers have, right? And so my question is, because it ties into marketing, how do you what inspires you, and how do you pick pieces that will connect with the audience? Whether it be the audience at a fashion show, whether it be like the overall audience of your market, like how do you find ways to keep your clothes relevant and connecting with your audience?
I feel like with having a brand, especially a self-named brand, the most important thing is to be myself. So I don't think I necessarily am looking for a demographic to market to. I just feel as though when I make clothes, I'm like, what do if I'm a girl, I mean, I am a girl, but what do I want to wear? But if I'm like seeing a guy, if I was a guy, what would I wear?
Right.
So I feel like it's more so people resonating with me, and, you know, even over time, just me being more confident in myself. It's just branding myself as who I am. Like, I brand myself as myself. You know, I'm not like pretending to be anybody else. So I think that people can see that and be like, okay, you know, they resonate with it and they decide to wear my clothing as well, you know? I don't think I necessarily market to have people want to like have that wow factor, but I think just me and my personality, maybe I'm just like, you know, I'm a Gemini, so sometimes I'm like reserved, sometimes I'm really loud, and I feel like I also have, Gemini. I feel like I also have that balance of like, you know, either or, just on the runway as well.
Okay, I like that.
Okay, so it's one of those Gemini sides that be influencing these pictures here on Instagram, right?
Yeah, definitely both of them. You see so many personalities of me on like my social media.
Yeah,
I'm a different person all the time, at least with style. I like to have fun.
Okay, so with your style, would you say that you're more like extroverted and maybe like not spontaneous? What's the word I'm looking for? Something more so along the lines of like you'll kind of like test those barriers and cross those lines.
I'm testing those barriers, honestly. Like I feel like I have two kind of different sides, because I love being natural. I love embracing my natural hair, my natural this, and, you know. So I have like those colors that would go with those skin tones of my hair, and then like the next week I'm like, I want to dye my hair pink. I want to go silver. Like I like to, especially with hair, and matching it with my outfits, just definitely pushing those barriers. And then I also have that other side that's like completely natural, and I kind of like to talk about that a lot because a lot of people see natural girls and they're just like, you know, oh, queen, oh, this. And it's like, yeah, I'm a queen, but I'm a queen with this wig on, too. And you're going to respect me with it. Like, I feel like people kind of treat you differently with either one. So I kind of like testing both sides of those waters. You know, my afro would be, like, huge, and then I would have, like, a 30-inch blonde wig the next week. Like, don't ever get comfortable.
I love it.
Like, surprise.
I love it. And, okay, so... somebody told me a long time ago that when you start a clothing brand, you have to wear your own clothes, and that you have to only wear your own clothes. Oh. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think you should for advertisement, you know, because a lot of times when I wear clothes is when I get my most sales, you know, in person more than social media sometimes. But I like to... the amount of times that I go out and change my mind and change my ideas, like I would have to be sewing every single day because I would have a whole time where I'm like, oh my God, I love silvers and whites. And then the next week it's like African print. Okay. Like I think with my line, it's just, I kind of want to stick in a direction so that, you know, my supporters can be accustomed to it and like, you know, it's marketed to a certain demographic. Because if I keep switching with how often I switch, I think I would like not people, you know, I confuse the consumer a little bit. So I don't really believe in wearing your clothes all the time. There's sometimes I would buy things and people would be like, oh, that's yours, because they like, you know, marketing and they understand, you know, the direction my line is in. But I don't think you necessarily, I'm not wearing, yesterday I was like head to toe in my pieces. Today I'm like a tank top and, you know, I just, you know, never get comfortable. Never think you know me.
Okay. Spicy. All right. No, see the Gemini coming out. The other side is coming out. All right. I love that though, because I always thought that. I'm like, well, if I start a clothing line, like I don't think I'm gonna wear it all the time. Yeah. Maybe like a good portion of the time, like not all the time. All right, so my next question is based around both shows and having a product. Now, what I've realized as a fashion show curator, a lot of the designers create these pieces or create these collections for the show. But I don't always see them sell these collections. Like it's like as if a lot of them just make clothes to do fashion shows. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, well, do you have it where you sell these somewhere? So for you in your situation, I would assume that it's because your clothes aren't like so crazy that you don't expect to see it in the street, right? Yeah. So how do you navigate that situation?
So with me, I feel like I was one of those designers that, you know, I would make something, you know, on the runway, you want something that's eye-capturing. So you want to make a show or put on a show, but you have to go from and understand, are you just being entertaining or are you actually selling a product? Right. So, you know, when I first started, I used to do like the military jackets because it was quick that I could make it for the amount of orders that I had. And that's kind of what I became known for. But now being known for more of the reflectives and the silvers, it's like I do sew my pieces, but like I said, you know, with the support that I appreciate so much, I can't make all of the pieces myself anymore. Yeah. And then if I do, the price point would be so high. So it's like I did start going in more in a manufacturing direction, at least for my website, so that it still stays in brand, and then people, you know, who want to support me can support me at a lower price point. And then if you do want something custom, there's still options for me to custom make your clothing as well. Right. But it all looks the same for the most part. It's just, you know, one side that I do myself and then the other side that you can find on the websites. Okay. That's like ready to wear.
Good. I like that because I really need to I need some stuff.
I got you.
I need some stuff. So before we start talking about this fashion show that's coming up, VJ, did you have?
No, I got my questions.
Oh, excuse me. So before we get into the fashion show, I just want to know, when you're thinking about producing a show, what is the first step that you take?
Before telling anyone or like advertising, the first thing I do is the venue. I'm like a venue head. I love my venues, and I feel like I would lock my venue in or find it so far before like people even know I'm throwing a show. Yeah, just because it's like I would spend like a month looking for a venue if it's not the right one. And I feel like perfect. Yeah, and it has to look good, you know. And then sometimes you have venues that look nice, but then there's like not a space for the models to really like, you know, having 40 models in one room for like 4 or 5 hours is not like easy. It's like wrangling, you know. Well, I don't want to say it like that, but you know,
it's true.
It's like I gotta find that venue with that double room. Like it has to have 2 rooms, and then that just might take too long. So, you know, now I have 2 venues that I might just keep alternating at because I love them just so much.
I really like the last one that you had.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the model room, but it was like almost as big as one of my last venues. Like it was huge. Like they could run around and do whatever and nobody could even hear them. So that was like, that's something that I really, you know, is important to me. But that's the very, very first thing that I do is that, and then the second is getting my team, which at this point now is kind of like the same team that I love so much. Nice. I love my team. I say that all the time. But yeah, those are the first 2 things that I do.
Okay. Good. Great answers, because those are the right answers.
She said those are the right answers.
Those are the right answers.
I mean, I appreciate that because I've seen your production, so I'm just like, you know, I appreciate
You know what's crazy? I'm not even gonna lie. Like VJ know, we've been in situations where we were like, you know what? Or I've been like, hey guys, we're gonna do a show, and it's gonna be on this day, and that day is 3 weeks later. And and we put together a whole show in 3 weeks. Didn't have a venue, nothing until like 3 days before.
I think I learned that lesson the hard way because I'm like, I'm gonna have a show on this date, and then it's like, but you're picky as is not going to find a venue that. But, you know, then it's so many times that I had to switch dates because it's like finally when I find a venue, something with the date, and it's like, you know what? Yeah. I'm not even going to tell anyone I'm throwing this show until I lock in the contract at this point.
Yep. That's exactly. That's really what you have to do. It just makes the whole planning process so much easier because there's not, like, that's the one unsurety or uncertainty that you don't want to have. Yeah. Like, the venue is really the most important part because venues have made or broken. Dang, I can't talk today. They've either made or broken the experience that people have had at shows. Yeah. Because it's like, okay, like oh God. Yeah. We had this dusty ass venue. It was so dusty. I hated it. The one Box Factory.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. I hated it. I'm gonna just go on record and say that I loved how it looked, but the floor, like it's an old Box Factory. They repurposed it and made it into an event space. And as like interesting as it was, that was the only reason we did a show there because I was interested. Yeah. But the floor was just so dusty, but everybody loved it. And me and my team is like, oh nah, this is,
I mean, it's
tweak the floor.
You know, you can work with it and get some brands that's like a little industrial, you know. But I had a venue. I think my last show, not this one, it was like the week before everything shut down with COVID. Yeah. And I ended up having to like just carpet the whole floor for my event because I'm like, I am not doing this. It was like a half of a photo shoot studio, and then it was like the other half was like they rent cars and you could do like music videos and stuff. Okay. So the venue was just like this 2-tone floor color, and then the color was like coming off a little bit because cars are driving on it.
Right.
So I was just like,
gosh.
like,
Sounds
no.
crazy.
No.
That sounds
Yeah.
so crazy. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
all go back and forth about the crazy venue experiences we've had. I can't lie. I do so you just gave me another thought for another question, because I actually stopped asking questions related to this, but I'm very interested to know what transition did you have to make when it came to COVID?
Yeah. So as far as for my brand, you mean? I don't want to be, very optimistic about this, about COVID, but COVID was very good to me as far as, I'm a designer, and weirdly, for some reason, I don't know why. Like if you look at pictures from my last line, it was like 3 weeks before COVID shut everything down, and I was making face masks. And there was no talk about COVID as yet. It was just like this thing, overseas. Like, I think it might come to brace yourself for whatever. And I'm making face masks. And then, a month later or 3 weeks later, everything shut down. So I'm just like, well, I know how to make face masks.
Right.
And I was making a lot of face masks. I made like 5 figures in just making face masks for COVID. So it was good to me,
Listen.
But that's
You was
kind of
ahead
how
of
I
the curve.
transitioned,
That's
and
what's
that's when I actually started my manufactured line, because I didn't want to just reinvest everything back into my line, and that's when I was able to find certain manufacturers. I feel like I had way more time. I was making money because of my brand. So finding the right manufacturers and being able to stay up all night because they're on like the other side of the world, and like I'm talking to them at 6 o'clock in the morning and it's there 6 p.m. So it was actually kind of beneficial. I feel like that's just my life as well. Even with throwing these events, you kind of just have to learn how to pivot.
Yes.
So like when stuff happens all the time, you just got to learn how to
Yep.
just figure it out.
That's a fact. Well, I love that it wasn't a bad experience for you. I hear those type of stories all the time. For me, I haven't had a show since right before COVID hit and shut down the city. Yeah, and that's why I'm like, at one point I felt myself scrambling, because I'm like, okay, people are starting to do events and shows again. Like, I need to do something.
But then there's certain protocols, and like you got to do these new.
And I really had to learn how to. Well, I can't even say sit down. I slowed down, like, as far as the events went, but I think I went, like, business crazy at that point, because it was like, okay, oh, well, we're opening a catering company. Okay, the catering company is down. All right, opening the photo studio. Okay, great. Photo studio's doing good. I want to open an ice cream. Like, it was just, like, I bugged out. And now I'm getting back into this space where it's like, yo, I really miss doing fashion shows.
I think it's because you're an air sign, Libras.
Right, like,
Geminis and air, like Geminis and Libras, like we go with the wind. We're just like, so it's like, you tell me that I have to stay in the house for a year. What? Like I feel like, you come out with all of these ideas that you just want to implement, and then I feel like, you and I, we both get stuff done. So it's like, we just had so much time to think of like stuff because we're home for a year, that by the time we could get out, it's like, you just want to get everything out. I think I had that same, because I did the same thing, opened a photography studio. I did this. It was just like, that's when I started with the artist development, So I feel like that just comes with having so much time to yourself to really just collect your thoughts and just, what am I good at? How can I implement? How can I push that out? How can I, So I think I went through that as well, honestly. That's a couple things.
Okay. I actually have a question, and it applies to both of you guys, because you both throw fashion shows, right? And fashion shows are a very organic production. A lot of moving pieces, a lot can go right and a lot can go wrong, and a fashion show is one seamless kind of production, right? What is your favorite moment in your show?
Like in any show?
In any of your show?
No, honestly, it really is when it ends, like that last, like, for me at least, because with throwing a show, it's not just the day of the show, The day of the show, to me, is over already. Like by the time my show's on the 16th, by the time the 15th happens, to me the show's already done. Like I'm already started on to the next project. So it's like when the show actually is over, it's just like this sigh of relief that this work that you've been putting in for 2 months, like just really just manifested itself into this great thing. And
Yes.
I think that's what made me really be a designer. Because even when you look at anything that I do, whether it's artist development or designing or anything, it's like I like seeing something turn into something grand, you know? So I feel like I get this release when the show's done. Like, wow, that was great. Like I did a good job. For these past months and months. I did great, you know?
Good job.
Right. Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. That used to be my favorite part too, but I think over time my favorite part became it's more so like the beginning, middle of the show.
Okay.
Where my team is falling into place and we're about to open the doors and it's about to start. That rush is like the best part because that's when my anxiety is all the way out all the way up here, and then literally the doors open, people start coming in and y'all moving around
It's like,
and
this
then
is not a drill.
it drops straight down because I know we got it. Yo, like, and then once it's over, it's like, oh, okay. All right, now I'm gonna stress them out again in like 3 months.
Literally, yep.
So,
I literally said the same thing to my team yesterday. I'm like, we're doing this again in like 4 more months. Fashion Week is in February.
Yo, listen. So let's talk about Sunday. Because it's coming and it's coming fast.
I just had a brain fart. I'm like, what's Sunday?
Yo, you know what? Well, your show is on Sunday. I'm gonna be there in VIP. Okay.
She's like Sunday.
Right. What's that? So what? Just tell us what's the experience been like. What's the theme on Sunday? Where it's at? What time they need to be there? Where can they get some tickets? Like, give me the full rundown. What's going on?
So the show's on Sunday, October 16th. The show starts at 5 o'clock. Doors open at 5 o'clock, I'll say. The show's going to start at 6:30 on the dot. On the dot, you know. So I always like to have my shows start at an hour after I advertise because, you know, sometimes people trickle in a little bit later, and I like to have my audience full when, you know, the cameras are rolling and the clothes are out. So I usually have like, you know, an hour, 2 hours of networking, and, you know, I'm going to have vendors that you can always shop and stop by and say hello to for the first like hour to 2 hours. And then the show will start at exactly 6:30. We do have some special guests. We got a couple reality shows in the building as well. A few blogs that we just locked in today as well. So, the theme of the show, it doesn't necessarily have a theme.
Okay.
No, it has a theme, just not a name. For some reason, I still haven't, I couldn't come up with that. But, you know, this line is very out of space, out of this world. My inspiration was, 1990 Busta Rhymes, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Scream.
Okay.
So Missy Elliott, you know, so that's kind of the direction that this line is going in. And I really hope that you guys love it as much as I love to make it.
Well, I know that I'm going to love it because I enjoyed the last one. And I enjoy your clothes. So I already know this is going to be lit. And where can people get tickets?
You can get them from me if you know me personally, or you can contact me however, or you can get them on Eventbrite, Roxy Lozama, or you could get them on roxylozama.com on my website, which is going to just direct you to the Eventbrite link. So
right.
But yeah.
Fire. That's so fire. And so with this show, you said that you have... Is it just your line, or you have other designers as well?
At this point, it's my line by myself, but it's going to be both of my lines. So, like I said, with the whole manufactured and the cut and sew, I have a whole manufactured line that you can buy online. You can also, it didn't drop as yet. It's going to drop 2 days after my show. Nice. But you could pre-order them at my event as well, or you could pre-order them at roxylozama.com. And then I'm gonna have my second piece, which is my cut and sew line. So right now I'm kind of just opening for myself on some J. Cole stuff.
Okay.
But I'm looking for another designer. If somebody, I feel as though I put a lot of work into this, and I got like a lot of press. I got a lot of people coming out. So it's like, I like to share with other people and just have them be a part of this as well.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm looking for another designer. Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see.
4 days away, but we'll see.
It's fine. We'll put some feelers out there.
Yeah.
I'll put up a post on my page, see if anybody, is already prepared.
Yeah.
Because if you already prepared, you ain't got to get prepared.
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yes. Okay.
Those is facts.
It just don't always happen that way.
Yeah.
That'd be the thing. People just be like, "Oh, I wish you would have told me." No, I wish you would have had it together.
Yeah.
Wish that.
I wish you
Maybe
would've told
next
me.
time.
Well, I mean, that's not the opportunity.
I'm telling you now.
Yeah, that's not the opportunity presented.
Okay, awesome. So I will definitely be there. VJ, what you doing on Sunday? You coming?
Sunday at work.
Oh, you suck. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, fuck that job.
I was just about to say.
I mean, if you're gonna hire me for the show, that's a different story. But my bills is due next week, so I gotta go.
Okay.
Right.
All right, fine. I'll bring somebody else with me. No problem.
If I get out early, that's another story, though.
Okay. Yeah, we're not gonna play it by ear. I'm gonna bring somebody else.
Yeah, let's not, though. Let's not. I was gonna say, don't do that.
When it comes to the artist development, because you have, we focused a lot on, your clothing line and being a designer and stuff today, but you've thrown that in a couple of times, and I really feel like it's an important part of who you are and what you're doing right now. So tell me, what's the goal with that? Like, what exactly are you doing with artist development and marketing, and what is the higher plan right now for Roxy?
I'm always a fashion designer. I'm always going to be a fashion designer.
Of course.
And to be transparent, why I do marketing for artists is because growing up as a designer, like I said, I was a musician first. So like my uncle, who taught me how to play the drums, he used to play for James Brown. Like I was in a very music oriented family.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I feel like I also have like a lot of music tap-ins or connections. So it was just so many times that I was just like, oh, you need this? Oh, well, I know somebody that does that. Oh, me. Yeah. Oh, you meet, and it was so many times that you're just the middleman for so long, and then you see these beautiful relationships flourish, and then you look back like, wow, that's great. And then it's like, okay, y'all making some money together too. Great. I'm like, damn, I gotta, I gotta start,
Yeah.
And I had like so many times that people were just like, oh, I need you to manage me. I've had so many people ask me that. And I'm like, but why? Like, and finally, I did decide to, take a chance on an artist. And even with that, as a designer as well, sometimes I try to put my clothes on people of stature, people of bigger names or whatever. But it's like, sometimes you just want to network equally or network with people and grow together. So in me marketing you or advertising you, I'm going to put my clothes on you while you on the biggest stage of the world,
Right.
So I feel like it's beneficial for me because sometimes you don't really capitalize as an artist development or manager just like in the beginning. So it's like a way for me to still capitalize. Like, okay, I book you for this, but we're going to put you in my clothes or you're going to advertise this, And with that, I don't even talk about it very often because I like to stay like as a ghost. People don't really even know that I do certain things. But I feel like that's how I make myself in the forefront, by just putting my clothes on people.
Right.
So that's kind of like the bigger goal. Instead of like, I feel like people are too consumed in celebrities,
Yes,
so instead of, hey, the goal is put my clothes on this person or this person, it's like create this, like your friends are celebrities, your friends are talented.
Yeah.
So it's like just support your friends, put your clothes on your friends, and they'll grow if you support them. If people support each other enough, if you network equally, you'll grow with your team or said person. So I think that was kind of the goal with that for me, because when people were asking me to manage them, it's like, oh, but why? Like I have to make it beneficial for me as well. No shade, because you're not gonna make money until that person pops.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, this is something I could do. Okay. And it is fun. I really love doing that, like a lot
Aw,
with managing artists.
nice.
One of my favorite hats. It's very close to designing. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. And how long have you been doing it?
Since 2019, since COVID.
Oh,
That was
okay.
like one of the things that kind of
Oh,
came about
yeah.
after
Okay.
COVID. One of my best friends managed an artist, and he was just like, I was just talking to him, and he was like, yeah, you know what? So and so needs this. Like, you need to tell her that. You need to. And then he just like, you should work with her because as a woman, you guys would understand each other. And then that was like my first artist that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a chance on this.
Yeah.
So yeah, and she was kind of like established already as well. So like,
Got
okay,
you.
know
That's
what?
fire.
This might be like cheating a little bit because she's
I mean,
already kind of like.
no, it's not
but,
cheating because
yeah.
the opportunity came in the way that it came,
Mhm.
and it was
Yeah.
for you, and that's why you got it. So.
Yeah, that's
It ain't cheating. It's a little bit of a head start. And that's
Yeah.
it, and that's cool.
I do got a question in your artist management.
hmm
How do you, like, do you have a criteria? How do you pick artists that you manage? Because everybody then hit you up and be like, can you manage me?
Yeah.
Yeah, facts.
I feel like I'm a passionate person. I feel like I'm a person that's like based off of energy and feeling. Like I go through like a vetting process because in a way, even though I do like managing now, like when I first started, it was just like, but I don't want to. And when I don't want to do something, it's like I'm gonna be very stern. I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
but why? Like I have to weigh out everything. And if I'm not passionate about you or anything that I do, I'm not gonna do it.
Mhm.
So it's just how I feel. It's just the energy that I feel, and also talent. Like I do believe that if I think you have a sound or something that's easily for me to market, then I'll work with you as well. But yeah,
Okay.
it's more so like it's like a slight interview process. Just talking to them, finding out who they are and what they want. If I could even do that, because I am new at this. Like I'm still learning myself.
Right.
So them interviewing me interviewing them, kind of situation.
That's dope. I really
Okay.
like that, and I wish you all of the best
Thank you.
with all of your endeavors because you're going to continue to be great and do amazing things. I did have one more question, and I don't, okay. I don't mean for it to come off like controversial or anything like that. But I want to know your insight on when you work. So kind of similar to the question that VJ had as far as you selecting the type of artist that you work with. When it comes to the business side of things, people come along and we make decisions to work with them or partner with them and things like that, and sometimes it doesn't work out, right? So how do you maintain professionalism, right, and also not allow for people to walk all over you? Because like you said in the very beginning of the show, people are going to say what they want to say. They're going to think what they want to think. And I know that, I don't know if we could call it recently, but you were in a situation where behind the scenes it was not what it needed to be. So
I feel like with me, it comes with a lot of self satisfaction. Like I feel like I care a lot about what I think,
Right.
So I don't necessarily I try not to go into the negativity when it comes to certain things. And even in the situations that did happen. Sorry, I'm like
that's just visiting.
because I'm trying to say this in a way. It's like I just don't like to bring. I know what I bring to the table.
Yes.
I know what I bring to every table. And I know that with people, it's like I try to work with people who are up and coming. I try to work with people who needed a me, because sometimes I feel like I'm doing things by myself, or I wish I had another me to help me with this and this and this. But sometimes I try to go out of my way and help people, and then people aren't necessarily deserving of it. So I think that's something that I'm working on with myself right now as well, is just choosing the right people who not only are talented, but choosing the people who deserve it. Because sometimes
Yeah.
you see people and they're amazing at what they do, and it's just like, but why aren't they there yet? And then it's like, you know what? I'm gonna take a chance,
Right.
and then
And
you know
then your
you
chance
realize
shows
why
you.
they're not at such success.
Yeah.
So it's like just really being passionate, the same passion that I have in choosing my artists, you know, just choosing my partners the same way too.
Right.
And just going through a vetting period where I'm asking questions, and they can even ask me questions, just so that you know, like, you could really understand a person before you decide to work with them.
Right.
And that's another thing, even with my line right now, like I did have a couple designers who were going to open for me. I did have a couple artists who were going to open for me, and it's just like, you know, they didn't really pass certain criteria that I have for myself, and just me just building that standard for myself and boundaries for myself as well. So yeah.
Good. You did great.
You know,
you
just
passed
learning.
media training.
Just learning.
You passed media training. Good job. Well, I love it, and like I said, with the energy that you possess and just how you are, just as a person, in the years that I've known you, coupled with, you know, of course not. It's not like we're besties or nothing. So I don't know you. You know what I mean? But when we come into contact with each other, it's always
real
great vibes.
Real. I respect the hell out of you. I'm gonna tell you that every time I see you.
Right. It is always positive. It's always productive, and I love that. And there are amazing things destined for you. Sunday is gonna be fire.
Yes.
Again. Make sure y'all tap in with Roxy. Get your tickets to Sunday's event, because I'm definitely gonna be there in VIP, because why wouldn't I be?
Period.
And
That's what you do, isn't it?
you feel me? Like, where else would I be? And so tell them where they can find you on social media.
All of my social media platforms are Roxy Lezama. That's RHOXYLEZAMA, and that's Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. And then Instagram is the only thing that is Roxy Official. That's Roxy OFF RHOXY Official. I like had a brain for it. Like, how do you spell official again?
I'm weak.
I'm crying.
VJ.
I'm tired.
If you don't know,
I'm weak.
Oh my god.
I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. It's VE_JANO, Vijano Alexander. I'm the only one, so
One and only.
if you can't find me, you wasn't looking.
That's a fact. I love how this show has like created our own little taglines, you know, just organically over time. And it's your favorite dime. So make sure y'all follow me on Instagram at Dimesmith. That's Dime with a Y, not an I. And follow our show, please. We ask nicely. The Making Mogul Show on Instagram. And so I did mention that we had a special announcement. I will be out of town for a couple of months. And it would just be VJ holding it down. So we are looking for a temporary co-host.
That's a fact.
So if you are interested and you know a thing or two or 10 about business, and you know you feel like you would be a good fit for the show, make sure y'all hit us up. We are out of here. Make sure y'all tap in every Monday, 7 to 8 p.m. on Xtreme 104 FM.
Gang.
Bye.